Hello, everyone. Welcome to Resting Bitch Face. It's a very special episode today. I have Justine from Did I Make That Up? She's basically like my weekly co host now. We're going back and forth on each other's podcasts every week, which is so fun. Hi, Justine.
Hi, thanks for having me on for this.
Absolutely. You look beautiful. We're doing videos. So, like, we both brushed our hair and put makeup on,
I know I
and we're
texted
just
you.
so
I'm like, are we
fancy.
still doing video? You're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, crap. I gotta put some
I
makeup on
was
then.
so happy that you messaged me that because I was doing a little bit of research for this show and it was like 12:30 and we were recording at 1 and I'm like, "Oh, thank God you said that to me because I totally forgot that I wanted to do video." So, here we are. We're beautiful. Look at us. And
Hell
so
yeah.
modest. Also, very modest. Today we're talking about the bombshell court appearance that Britney Spears made. I guess it was a video appearance, so they recorded the audio. I'm a little bit surprised that they were able to release the audio, but I guess it's a public, I don't know how the public knowledge stuff works sometimes and it doesn't sometimes. Some court cases will be sealed and some will be public. So somehow the audio was leaked and it was just full of bombshells and it was heartbreaking. What was your overall I okay, so here's my question. What did you think about the conservatorship before you heard Brittany talk about it?
Well, I remember years ago the documentary that MTV put out, Britney for the Record, and
Oh
that
yeah.
that was like the only time before, the documentary and everything a couple months ago before any of this stuff came out. That was the
Right.
only time she had ever really like spoken about it. And I wasn't really too knowledgeable about it. I didn't really like look into it or think about it too hard, and then it wasn't until after like the documentary about her came out, and then of course this, like, now I'm starting to realize, and I think a lot of other people as well, like how bad things actually are for her.
Right. I kind of feel the same way. I my thought process in general beforehand was conservatorships exist for a reason and most likely it's in her best interest. And in watching all of the Instagram videos and everything of her and seeing how manic she seemed and how fast she was talking and just spinning around and wearing cat suits and like it just seemed like okay, this is a mentally ill person. And so the conservatorship is probably in her best interest, although I'm sure there's some kind of something that's gone wrong on the inside of it. So that was my general idea. Now, I was listening to Heather McDonald's Juicy Scoop the other day, and she was talking about how there was a video recently, and in the background, it was windy wherever she was, but the way that the wind was moving wasn't normal. It was almost seemed like the video was sped up and that maybe her voice pitch was raised a little too. So there's been a lot of talk about people, whoever is running her Instagram, is trying to make her look crazy, trying to make her look strange. And that was just such a crazy thought to me. What did you think about that? Do you think that there's truth to that?
Yeah, for sure. I saw a couple TikToks of people saying that about the video thing and stuff too, that they're trying to make her seem. And after hearing the way she was talking in the court audio, her voice is different. Her voice is deeper.
Yep.
It's not, "Hi guys, I'm Brittany and I'm totally fine." She
Yeah.
wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Exactly.
totally think that they're trying to make her seem, loony, and
Yeah.
one other thing is that people always criticize like her hair and her makeup, and they're like, "Oh, she's got like all the money in the world. Why does
Mm-hmm.
she look so like crazy all the time?"
Right.
And she addresses that as well in the court thing. So yeah.
Yes, yes. And I think that was pretty interesting to look into as well. I have been a diehard Britney Spears fan since day one. Like, I remember having a VHS tape of her first concert that was televised in Hawaii. I can remember the outfits that she was wearing. I remember seeing her on Star Search. Like, I've been a Britney fan forever. But in the past decade, I've just kind of thought, well, she maybe should just retire because she just doesn't have it anymore. She's not into it anymore. Hearing her speak about what is going on in her life makes 1,000% it makes sense as to why she's not the Britney we remember, why she looks like she's half assing it on the stage half the time. Her heart's not in it because how could it be? It's not her choice. The choreography's not her choice. The performances are not her choice. She's being enslaved against her will. It's crazy, devastating.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a huge Britney fan too. I've seen two of her tours. I went to the Circus tour, and then I also went to the Femme Fatale tour. And after she was talking in this court hearing, and then also I remember Troy McGeady from Dunzo, he did like a Britney deep dive a long time ago. And I remember he was talking about how they like forced her to go on tour and all this stuff. And obviously at the time, and even not until I heard him talk about it, I wasn't even aware of any of that she was like, didn't want to be on tour or anything like that. So looking back on it, I'm like, shit, like I feel a little guilty for like
Like you
going to her
contributed to
concerts,
it.
you know?
Yeah. Well, you didn't know because you would when you heard rumors like that years ago before the Free Britney movement, before all of that, you would just go, she's a grown woman. If she doesn't want to tour, she can just say no, I'm not going to tour. But when you
Hmm.
hear the intricacies of the contracts and the conservatorship, it makes sense that you don't have she has no control over her rights, over her life in general. They said during the ABC News special that we were watching that in the court documents it is said that she has no control over any aspect of her life, that the conservatorship even tells her who she can date and everything down to the color of her kitchen cabinets. That's insane. I don't understand the relevancy. It just doesn't make sense that you would want to control. And there's so many people involved. And why is no one speaking up and doing the right thing? You've got attorneys, you've got financial advisors, you've got nurses coming and medicating her. There's so many people involved, and no one, not a single one of them, is trying to do the right thing.
Because they're making money off of it, right?
Oh, it's heartbreaking. I feel like there's not enough money in the world that could force me to contribute and be a part of something so awful and not say something. There's just not enough money.
I
It's
know,
awful.
but people, money makes people evil, right? Like we can say that all we want as people that don't have money, you know what I
Right,
mean? But
exactly. Yeah, it's easy to say.
but I mean, money makes people do some fucked up things and some
The root
evil
of all
things.
evil. Yep.
And yeah, her own family's doing it to her because of the money. I mean, I don't really
Oh,
see why else. She seems stable enough to be able to be on her own with her boyfriend and
right.
have her regular visits with her two boys. Like,
I'm actually surprised that the conservatorship has allowed her to date her boyfriend because let's see, yesterday on Instagram, he was wearing a Free Britney t shirt when he posted a photo. He has also spoken out about her father on
mhm.
TMZ. So I actually find it shocking that the conservatorship has given her the okay to date him when he has done little things and spoken out against the conservatorship. Just kind of interesting. Do you think that they're in a
I wonder
legitimate
how.
relationship?
I mean, it sounded like it because she said
I think so
they wanted
too.
to have a baby together.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And that
I
she just
mean,
wants to
yeah,
ride in his car.
I wonder like how often they actually like see each other, or does he live with her? Like, I don't know. I have so many more questions.
Right. I don't think that they live together. I think she did make a comment that if she didn't go through with contractual obligations or shows or anything, that she would be restricted from seeing him. It's almost like she's a 14-year-old in a very strict household. It's very abusive and scary. I want to go through some of the bullet points. So this is a list. I will, cite things where they're due from express.co.uk. And I totally agreed with their list. This is 5 things that we learned, basically 5 bombshells from her court appearance. Number 1, she's been forced to take drugs against her will. That's very scary. That's very scary because, in my opinion, and I believe as far as the law goes, the only time that you're supposed to be forced to take medication is when you are harm to yourself or others. That's why some people will be put into the mental facility or can be committed against their will because they're a danger to themselves or others. Britney Spears does not seem to be in danger of herself or others. She doesn't seem suicidal. She seems like she's at her breaking point, but after years and years of abuse and control, but she doesn't seem like she's going to go kill herself. Being that she loves her children so much, I don't think that that would be a possibility. What did you think about
I don't
when you
think
heard that she's being forced to take medication?
First of all, that really scared me when she said that they switched her medication to something completely stronger and
They
they
put
gave
her
her
on
lithium, I
lithium, which
guess.
is no joke. No joke.
Right. It truly terrified me because the first thing that I thought of was Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so uh God, I don't even know how how awful everyone would feel if, Britney ended up in that situation. But it's super messed up. I've never like been medicated for anything like that. I'm very lucky in that
Right.
way, so I don't know how it feels. But it's just scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen people on really intense medication before, and it is terrifying. It is like looking at a zombie. If you are at such a point where you are so medicated that you are falling asleep in your dinner plate, it is heartbreaking and terrifying, and I can totally understand why she would feel so afraid in that moment. They put her on that. They said that she had live-in nurses that were giving her medication every day. Um, Different nurses coming in, changing the medication. I mean, awful. She wanted to do therapy at home. No reason why she shouldn't be able to. She's got 15 handlers in her home at any time. She should be able to have a psychiatrist or psychologist come into her home to do therapy there. But no, they were forcing her to go to a location where there was going to be tons of paparazzi and she would be photographed coming out of therapy, crying. I don't know. Have you ever gone to therapy before?
I haven't been since I was like a little kid, but the last time I
Okay.
actually did therapy as an adult, I did it virtually.
Okay.
So
I've
I
done,
haven't been to like a therapist's office since I was a little kid and my
okay.
parents got divorced.
Oh, see, that's hard. I started therapy during my divorce because it was so traumatic. I felt like I couldn't get through my days. And when you're going to therapy and you're uncovering a lot of traumatic issues, it is very hard. And I cry every time I go to therapy, whether it's a good therapy session, whether I'm going through something, I cry every time. And when you go to therapy, they have a separate door for you to leave from so that it's private, so that you're not going out the same door that another person is coming in case you don't want to run into people. It's all about privacy. But with Britney Spears, she doesn't have the luxury of that. She goes to therapy, she's talking about obviously some deep, dark shit, and then she has to walk out the door and have 50 paparazzi photographing her coming out of therapy crying. That's just not fair. It's awful. They didn't even give her the option to do it in home or televisit. It's crazy.
It is. It is. And a lot of celebrities, even though they say that they would like therapy, a lot of celebrities are afraid to even go to therapy. I know Paris Hilton has talked about this before. She said that they never ever will she go see a therapist because she doesn't want like a tell-all book written about her.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they sign NDAs and whatnot, but people get around things. So yeah, it's just I don't get it. I don't get why that they're making her go to that place instead of allowing her to even do like a Skype therapy session at the least.
I think they just want to humiliate. I think that they've really been working very hard to keep the cash cow moving, and they have to make her appear unstable in order to keep the conservatorship and keep the money flowing. And that sounded kind of like a crazy conspiracy, but now that you hear from her own words, it doesn't seem so crazy. And during the ABC News special, one of the anchors actually said to someone else, she said, um, conspirat- conspiratorship, conspiratorship instead of conservatorship. And nobody caught it or said anything about it, but I thought that that was kind of a funny little slip because it kind of is. It's a conspiracy to keep her under their thumbs. It's just shocking and scary that something like this could happen to someone so powerful and so recognizable as Britney Spears. It really should scare everyone else, all the little people, that something like this could happen to you and you have to stand up for it and make it right. Scary. One of the scariest things that I
It's
thought was the IUD part.
right. So, okay, so when I first heard the clip of her talking about that, it was almost like they forced her to get it. But then when I re listened to the thing in full, she basically said that she had it and they won't allow her to go see a doctor to get it removed.
Mm-hmm.
That's messed up. Why can't she
Oh,
go see a
yeah.
doctor?
Right.
She
Right.
literally
Not
can't
only,
do anything on her own terms.
uh-huh. And I mean, in recent years, especially women's rights and women's reproductive rights has been another huge topic of conversation. To think that a woman who is, I think she's 39 now or 40, to think that a woman who's still within her reproductive, time frame cannot make the decision to have her IUD removed so that she can expand her family. It's absolutely heartbreaking because at this point, even if the judge does remove the conservatorship and she does have control over her body and her choices again, it may be too late for her to have any more children. They have stolen her choice of having a child from her during her safe years of reproducing. Because after like 35, 36, your birth defects and issues like that become so much more prevalent. That's why a lot of women want to have all their children by 35. They have stolen those years from her. It's it's terrifying to think that someone can do that for you. Meanwhile, we have meth addicts and crackheads out there having babies all over the place. That's fine. But Britney Spears, who seems to be of sound mind to me and has all the money in the world to care for her children and loves her children, is being forced to keep her IUD and not allowed to get married and have kids. That should be terrifying to any woman on the planet. That is scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scary. There are a lot of people that I think probably could be okay with having an IUD that can't be removed.
Hmm.
But Britney Spears is not one of them. Does that make you afraid for women? That's uh,
For sure, for
scary.
sure. That's I don't you said everything perfectly. It's just such a messed up situation and I hope that she gets her rights back soon.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Um, so we touched on this a little bit before when you said that you went to her concerts and now you kind of feel bad, but being forced to perform against your will, being threatened. She said that her managers falsely reported to her therapist that she hadn't been taking her medication, And she said it was very threatening and scary. The people who did this to me should not be able to walk away so easily. She said that it made no sense that the conservatorship deemed her to be able to perform at the highest level of the entertainment industry, but she was unable to make basic life decisions or spend the money she is earning. Wow.
Right.
Looking back, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, she said something about how was I not cooperating when there's videos of me teaching the choreography to my dancers. Like, she also choreographed, is that the right word? The
Yes,
show.
that's correct. Yeah.
And I've seen the videos of it, of her teaching them, and she's super fucking talented. And yeah, it's just so messed up. And she was at her Vegas residency for a long time, right?
Yeah, for a few years. I think 3 or 4 years she signed for. And then she was supposed to do another one, and then she didn't.
Yeah, and I wish she talked about that just a tad. She was like, "Oh, they said I didn't have to do it." But remember that whole thing when she like walked on the stage and then she walked off when they were like announcing it? I don't know. I want to know what the hell happened there.
Yeah, I guess there was this big thing. It was a big announcement of the Dominion tour, I think it was. And she was supposed to come out and she was supposed to perform and speak and everything. And people were waiting for hours. They had everything set up. She came out, she walked down to the stage, she walked right off and got into a limo and left. And after that, she announced that she wouldn't be doing that concert anymore. So, I mean, when you look back on the concerts that you saw during this time of the conservatorship, did you feel like her heart wasn't in it? Looking back, do you kind of feel like she just was kind of going through the moves?
No, I thought both concerts I saw her at were really, really, really great.
Yeah.
But this was also like years ago. Like the circus tour would have been in like,
oh yeah.
Geez, I don't even remember, like 2008 or 2009. And then the Femme Fatale
was
tour
really
was like 2011.
Okay.
And like Nicki Minaj had just come out with her first album. She opened up for her. But I never got to see her at her Vegas residency. Unfortunately, I always wanted to. And I feel like that's kind of where people were talking about her not being as good as she was before. People were making fun of her because she didn't even dance half the show, and so I don't know.
So you saw her more early in the conservatorship, and then I have seen a lot of videos and stuff. I'm like, man, she just doesn't dance like she used to. She just doesn't seem like she loves it anymore. And then hearing everything that we heard in the court case yesterday, it makes so much sense. And like, how can your heart be in it if it's not your choice? You're just being forced. It's almost like a stage mom forcing her kid to perform because it was her dream as a child. And how can you still be into it and love it if it's not what you want to do?
I know, it makes me wonder if this never happened to her, if she would be like retired, if she would still be performing, if she would have gone on tour as often as she did, like all of her career moves. Like I watched her when she was a judge on the X Factor that one season. Every little things like that. It makes me wonder how different her career would have been if this never happened.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, I can't even, just to think if she had complete control over her life for the past 13, 14 years, I can't even imagine. Wow. Okay, so here is something that was very not shocking, but heartbreaking. So one of the other things that we learned is she feels enslaved, abused, traumatized, and silenced. So some of the quotes, she said, this conservatorship is doing me more harm than good. I'm traumatized. I'm not happy. I can't sleep. I'm so angry and I cry every day. She called the conservatorship abusive and that she can't live a full life. She said that she is not here to be anyone's slave and that the only similar thing to this is called sex trafficking. She said, I've lied and told the whole world I'm okay and I'm happy. I honestly don't think anyone would believe me. Um, when she compared it to sex trafficking, at first I was like, yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. But then she elaborated and she said, in sex trafficking, you're put into a home. Your money is controlled. You can only go where you're told, do what you're told. Other people are handling you. No one lets you make your own decisions. And, having been someone who's worked in the industry and seen those things, she's right. She's right. It's as if her dad is her pimp and he's pimping her out, making her perform and bring home all the money and give it to him. And he will give her some of allowance if that's okay and tell her where she can go and what she can do. That's exactly what a pimp relationship is. She was absolutely right in comparison. It may seem like an absurd comparison to other people, but what did you think when you heard her say that?
I agreed with her. And also in that quote that you just read, her saying that she has been pretending the whole time that everything was okay. And that's one thing that I loved hearing her say was that I don't even want to do an interview. I just want people to hear this. And then she said, and I didn't know until right before that this was going to be recorded. And she's like, I'm glad, like, I'm happy that this is going to be out there, because it doesn't make me feel as bad for like listening to it because she wants it out there.
It's the only opportunity she's had to be honest and not have repercussions.
Oh my God, I know. I don't know. I just can't even imagine making that kind of money and having that kind of success. Her level of fame is just absolutely insane. And to not have any of the benefits of it, like not being able to have any of your own money or control to go do whatever you want. Like she mentioned that she wants to go on vacation and they don't even like want her to be able to go on vacation with her boyfriend. Like that's insane.
I can't imagine working so hard almost your entire life with barely any breaks and not being able to enjoy that success or the little things in life, just being able to take your kids to Disneyland or you work so hard and you get nothing for it. You just have to dole it out to all of your handlers and be told where and when you can go. It's absolutely not okay. If she is so unable to care for herself that she needs a conservatorship, you shouldn't be forcing her to make $1 billion contract deals with resorts in Las Vegas. It's absurd.
Totally
it's
agree.
insane. So, one of the quotes that really upset me was this. She said, so she's talking about the nurses coming in and monitoring her and putting her on the medication and everything. She said, not only did my family not do a goddamn thing, my dad was all for it. Anything that happened to me had to be approved by my dad. And my dad acted like he didn't know that I was told I had to be tested over the Christmas holidays before they sent me away. When my kids went home to Louisiana, he was the one who approved all of it. My whole family did nothing. She made another comment later on about her family saying that she wants to sue her whole family for doing nothing to help her. That, honestly, I understood why she would say that about her dad, because we all know that Britney Spears is not like her dad. He was not part of her life growing up. He only wanted to step in when he could control her money. But I thought that she was still very close with her mother and her brother and her sister, Jamie Lynn. And so that's part of the reason why I wondered, does Britney need this conservatorship? Because the people that she's been closest with in her life have not stepped in to change it. Her mother, her sister, her brother. So why is no one doing anything? And she straight up says, anybody that's involved in this should go to jail. I would like to sue my entire family for not helping me. That is, why do you think that like her mother and her sister, at least the two of them, haven't stepped in and done something or said something about this conservatorship? I don't think they're benefiting financially. What do you think that is?
Are her parents still together, or are they
No, they
divorced?
divorced. I think early 2000s they divorced, and Jamie Spears had, a notorious drinking problem, was an alcoholic and everything.
Okay. In my mind, her parents and Jessica Simpson's parents are like the same people. um,
It's just so
but
strange to me because she was always so close with her mom and her sister, and I don't understand what's in it for them to not stand up for her.
she said something that her mom treats her the same way that her dad does, but in a different way.
Oh,
She said something like that her mom like talks to her like she's stupid or something. Um, I mean, I would just assume that everyone was financially benefiting off of her.
yeah, because she did also say, and considering my family has lived off of my conservatorship for 13 years, I won't be surprised if one of them has something to say going forward and say, we don't think this should end. We have to help her, especially if I get my fair turn exposing what they did to me. So that right there makes me think it's not just her dad, it's other people too. And I know her brother went on a podcast this year to kind of talk about the conservatorship and everything when Free Britney was really getting some movement. And I listened to some of the podcast. I felt like he didn't really answer anything or really address anything. He kind of went around a lot of it. But the podcaster that he interviewed with is really not a huge podcaster. And I was just like, why is Brian Spears, Britney Spears' brother, if you're going to talk, why aren't we talking to a news channel or Joe Rogan or somebody that is actually going to get this out? And why aren't you saying anything of substance? So that makes me think it was just for himself to get himself on a podcast. It's so strange.
Yeah, it is. I vaguely remember when that happened and everyone said the same thing that you did, that he didn't really speak on
Yeah,
anything.
there was
Like he
nothing
didn't.
of substance. It was random. He just avoided a lot of the questions.
Right. My question is, how do the courts go about this to see if they're actually going to free her or not? Because she said, I want to end the conservatorship, but I don't want to be mentally evaluated anymore. But don't they have to do something like that to end it? And then she said that she's been doing research and she saw other people got theirs ended without being mentally evaluated. So I don't know how they're going to go about that. Do you?
I did think it was I did think it was interesting that she said a few times she wanted to end it without any more evaluations. That seemed a little strange to me because I feel like if you know you're mentally a-okay, and that's the easiest way to get you out of this conservatorship. Wouldn't you say, do my one final mental evaluation? You will see that I am fine, that I'm fully capable of caring for myself and my finances, and then I want out of this conservatorship. So I did think it was strange that a few times she said she does not want any more evaluations. That makes me think that maybe she thinks maybe her evaluations are not coming back, that she is completely capable. And so maybe that's why she's trying to get around it. Is that kind of the feeling that you got? Did you pick up on that? Her mentioning it a few times?
Yeah. Yeah, I did for sure. Because I'm just thinking like they're going to have to mentally evaluate. The courts are going to want some sort of proof, physical proof that you're
Mm-hmm.
okay if they're going to release you into the wild on your own, you know? Um, I don't know though. Like she seemed perfectly fine in this. She seemed nervous to me.
Yes, I was going to say that. She was talking quickly, but I don't think that that's a manic thing. I think she was just nervous and like, the adrenaline of wanting to get everything out that you want to say. I agree with you. I don't think it was a mental issue.
No, it was definitely more like nerves, but that's the thing too. It's like we can all say that she sounded like great and that she should be on her own. I mean, obviously what they're doing to her is completely fucked up, but is there something a little wrong with her that she can't, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's so I don't know.
That's also, see, that's something that I was thinking about too. And Ryan and I were watching this together, or the ABC coverage where they were talking about that. And Ryan was like, who cares? If she wants to blow all her money, let her blow all her money. I mean, think about like MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice and all those like 80s rappers and stuff like that who all went bankrupt and owed the IRS a shit ton of money and stuff. Nobody stepped into their life and took control of their finances and their lives and told them what to do for 2 decades. They just, whatever. If you want to blow all your money, if you want to make questionable decisions, you're a human being, you're an adult, you can make your decisions. Even if we think they're bad decisions, you have the right to make them. Unless there's some real serious mental illness with her, which there doesn't seem to be, then why is it anyone's business what she does with her money or her life, if she performs, if she doesn't? Why does someone need to run that for her? Who cares?
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, I don't know if this is a stupid question, but how did this all start? Like, how did the conservatorship start? Did she sign off on it originally to say like, yes, I need help, and it just became out of control, or
It
did
was
her
court
dad take
ordered.
that? Okay, so her dad took it to court, and the court was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
going to happen. So she never had a say in it ever.
Right. And this was back in like 2008. So this was right after she shaved her head and took
Right.
an umbrella to a paparazzi's car. And, looking at that time when you saw those things happening, yes, you went, oh, Britney's going crazy. She's crazy. Somebody needs to step in. But I have always believed, and I have a friend that was close at the time with Kevin Federline. And my thought always was that Britney shaved her head because she was on drugs and they were drug testing her. And so she had to get rid of her hair. It was a hair sample. So that was always a big thought of mine, that she didn't just go crazy and shave her head. She was about to get her drug test done where she could lose her children, and so she had to get rid of her hair. So I truly believe that that's why that happened. I completely understand why she would take an umbrella to a paparazzi's car. I can't imagine what it was like for her in those years at the height of TMZ and blogging, where you literally couldn't go anywhere or do anything without 500 flashbulbs in your face. Who could who could stand to live like that? I think she just got to a breaking point and she had this breakdown, and unfortunately, it was in front of the whole world. And that painted her to be crazy. And from then until now, that's how she's been treated. And it's totally unfair, because if y'all saw me during my divorce, when I was circling the parking lot of the chick my husband was banging, and doing all kinds of crazy shit like that, you'd still call me crazy and want to have a conservatorship over me. But I just had a moment, okay? I don't have to live like that forever. It was a moment. And Britney should be able to have her moment too. She just did it in front of the whole world.
Right. I agree with you. I remember when all that happened, and then because I think the Blackout album came out in 2007, if I'm
which is one of my all-time favorite Britney Spears albums.
right. And that was when she
Love
had the
it.
black hair, and that was her Give Me More was like her big
Yeah.
comeback. And then do you remember when she performed it at the VMAs and everyone was like, oh my God, she's so fat. And if you go back
Yeah.
and you look at the video of her, you're like, she looks so good. Like, she
Yeah.
looks fine. Like,
She still had abs. You could still see abs, but everyone's saying like she's a fat slob, which I guess in comparison to what she looked like before, maybe there was a big difference there. But no, she was not fat. And everyone just said she was crazy and treated her like she was a psycho. It's not fair.
no. And that paparazzi who she hit his car with the umbrella, he deserved it.
Oh, yeah, they all deserved it. They were relentless. Those paparazzi, they ended up having to make laws in California because they were so relentless. They were chasing down people with their children. I mean, awful, scary, very scary. She also said, well, I love when she kept saying that anyone involved in this should be in jail. That is a powerful thing to say. Anyone involved in everything that is happening to me should be in jail. I agree with her from what I've heard, from what she said. These are a
Hmm.
lot, it's a lot of people planning and enslaving someone who doesn't really need to be enslaved. Nobody should, obviously, but she said she is forced to go to rehab against her will. She had to pay $60,000 a month, I think, is what she said. And she cried, quote, cried on the phone for an hour, and he loved every minute of it. Anything that happened to me had to be approved by my dad. My dad and anyone involved in this conservatorship, including my management, they should be in jail. And that's a pretty powerful thing to say. And she seriously sounded like she believed that her father enjoys torturing her, which is very scary in itself as well.
Yeah, he
Very.
probably likes having that power.
To think to think that someone who is your father, like your father, your family member who should have their that have your best interest in mind and that they enjoy torturing you is so sick and twisted and awful. And whether that's true or not, whether they take away the conservatorship as a whole or not, even if they keep it in place in some capacity, she should have the right to say, I don't want anyone in my family involved in the control of my life and my conservatorship. What's wrong with that? It should be someone she chooses or a third party or someone completely removed. But she should have every right to deny her family and her father the chance of controlling her life. That blows my mind.
I totally agree with that. And my question is, didn't her dad get taken off of it a couple months, like a year ago or something now? Didn't
So I guess they took him off. So he was in complete control of the finances, and then they brought someone else in, and then he stepped down, but he's still a co-advisor of the finances. I think that someone else has more control over them, but he still has a say, but he doesn't have 100% like he used to before. But I just feel like, why does he need to be in control of her finances at all? Let's find a third party that's unbiased, that just wants what's best for her. There's got to be good people in that industry somewhere.
I
It doesn't
mean,
make
yeah,
sense.
you would think. Um, oh, God, I just can't even imagine living my life like that, you know? And then
Mm-hmm.
when you go outside, everyone knows who you are on top of that. That, like most celebrities, they have that everywhere they go. Um, like, the Kardashians talked about that in their reunion. The one thing they miss is just being able to go to the grocery store or the gas station and not have every single person know who you are. But they get to go home and sit inside their homes and live however they want to live behind closed doors and have their privacy
Right?
and their luxury. And poor Britney, who probably deserves it more than anyone, she's been friggin' blessing this world with amazing music for the past however many years, a lot.
Yeah,
And she doesn't even get that. So it's sad.
it's awful. I'm really interested in seeing what happens going forward with this. I'm excited to, I really hope that the judge can at least have the whole situation reevaluated. Don't just push her off. Don't just sweep this away. I think that there's enough eyes on this and enough passion about this that the judge will not be able to sweep this under the rug. I think that they're going to be forced to really address this. And I'm really, really hoping that the entire situation can be reevaluated. And if nothing else, she should be able to do her own research and choose a financial advisor and choose a conservator that is not, that's removed from her family. But I do really want to know, she said she wants to sue her whole family. So that definitely makes me believe that she is not on good terms with her mother, her sister, or her brother, and it's not just her dad. So I am really dying to know why they haven't. That's the number one question in my head. Why haven't they stepped in? Why haven't they done anything? And is anyone going to have to answer for this?
I honestly think that if she gets off of this, and this is best case scenario for her and for us as people who are interested in this, and worst case scenario for her family, I think that if she gets off, she's going to write some sort of like book about it,
Ooh, that
or
would
do
be the
like,
juiciest tell all ever.
right, I think she'll either write a tell all, or she'll do like, one of those like hour long Oprah specials.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody, yeah, she'd do something where she'd get paid like millions and millions of dollars for her story, which she deserves. But oh my God, that would be a great tell-all. I would love to read that.
Right. And I think that since the documentary came out about her, and, since social media has kind of blown up with all of this, I think it gave her the courage to be like, to speak up about it, because she even said
Right.
something in the hearing like, I watched that Paris Hilton documentary and I didn't believe it at all. And then I thought, okay, I don't want to speak up because no one's going to believe me, you know? Um, but I think that after now she realizes how many fans she has and how people are like behind her and support her, and people
Mhm.
don't think she's crazy, like, because that must mentally traumatize you from all the years past of every single fucking person in the world thinking you're crazy. So I think it's given her the
Yeah.
courage to talk about it, and I hope she gets off, and I want to hear more.
I think the free, so I kind of thought about this from her point of view when it comes to the Free Britney movement. I bet that movement helped her so much to want to speak out about this. So, can you imagine being locked away? Yes, she has a multi-million-dollar home, and ooh, poor Brittany living in her mansion. It's not just about that. I'm sure she'd rather live in an apartment than in her multi-million-dollar mansion, but have control of her life. So,
Hmm.
it's, that money doesn't buy happiness thing. Um, but I can imagine her being in her home and feeling like no one cares and everyone thinks I'm crazy and I can't control my life and I can't control my finances and all of that. And then seeing this Free Britney movement rise up and seeing how passionate people are about it and how people are on the streets and people are on social media and they're like, we love you, Britney. We want you free. We want you to have your own life. Can you imagine how amazing that made her feel to know that after all these years, people love her and care about her enough that they're willing to fight for her, for someone they don't even know? I think that the Free Britney movement was a huge reason why she requested this court meeting and why she was able to speak out in her defense. I
Yeah,
think it was huge.
1,000%. Do you think that if she gets off of it and she gets to live her life on her own terms, do you think that she'll do a Vegas residency again? Do you think she'll go on tour again? Do you think she'll make another album? Or do you think that she's just going to be done with entertaining?
I don't think she'll be done with it because I think she loves it. And she's had enough time sitting around in her house alone. So I think she would probably tour so that she could just be on the bus and have her kids with her and go all over the world and see all the places that she hasn't been able to see and do the things she hasn't been able to do for the past year, like, 10, 12 years. I think she would tour. What do you think she would do?
I mean, I hope she would. I mean, like I said, I felt guilty for going before, but I wouldn't if she was off of this.
Right.
And she's not a singer, but she definitely puts on like absolutely incredible concerts. Like to this day, the
Right.
Circus tour was definitely like one of the top 5 best concerts I've ever seen. It was so good. So
Remember when she did that HBO concert and she was like in the cowboy hat and the like diamond outfit and the water was raining down? I'll never forget that. And the promos were like her in Elvis outfits and stuff. I think it was done at MGM in Vegas, but it was an HBO special. She's just so iconic.
I
And
know.
I think that if she were to be released from this conservatorship and have her life back, I bet she would make new music. She would probably design a whole new tour, all new choreography, and I think she'd like hit the road. I think she's probably really tired of being cooped up in the same place for an extended period of time. Like we all are because of COVID, but on a bigger scale.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And didn't her son, I think that her dad hit one of her sons. And so I think the son had a restraining order against him or something.
Whoa.
Yeah, you didn't hear that? I think so. One of her sons, I think it was Jaden, maybe, he had a TikTok account. And he was live or something, and someone was like, "What do you think about your dad or your grandpa's a dick?" And he was like, "Yeah, my grandpa is a dick." And there was something that went down. Jamie Spears,
How old are her kids now?
um, they're teenagers. Vanessa is going to be 14, and her kids are older than her. So I would say 15, 16. God, that's crazy, isn't it?
That's so crazy.
So, okay, so 2019, Britney Spears' father was allegedly so enraged during argument with his 13-year-old grandson. So this was in 2019. So yeah, 15. Sean, he broke down a door to get to the young boy, and the incident has sparked a child abuse investigation. He flew off the handle. The boy became so scared of his grandfather's reaction that he ran to his room and locked the door. He broke down the bedroom door, and once he got his hands on the boy, he allegedly violently shook the teenager. I bet K-Fed was pissed. Yeah, so
Fuck.
child abuse. Yeah, that was 2019, and this is all according to theblast.com. But yeah, so he's not a good guy, and it's been proven in years and years of issues. So, free Britney.
Free Britney. If you can find it, because apparently it's super hard to find now. I used to have it on DVD, but the MTV For the Record special, it was right when she was coming out with the Circus album, and I just I remember her going shopping and all this stuff, and there is a moment where she kind of breaks down and she's like, it's like people hear me, but no one is like listening. And
Oh my
then
gosh.
there
So
was,
here's a still from that. I will never forget this.
right, yep, that's the
Oh
moment.
God, my heart, I just feel emotional just seeing that photo because I remember her doing that, having that breakdown. And that was 2008. That was only the first year of the conservatorship. And here we are, you know, 12, 11, 13 years later. she was that heartbroken at that point, and she's just been through so much. I want to hug her. I feel emotional right now. I
I
can't
know.
imagine.
I
Oh,
know. And I just remember in that special too, there at the very end of it, there was a moment where they kind of drove her off into like the middle of nowhere. And God, what? And they let her just drive a car, and she was just so happy to just be able to drive a car because she hadn't driven herself in years. It's like, God,
it's
imagine
not
having that much
okay.
money and like being able to literally afford any car you want and whatever, and not even being allowed to just get into a car and drive. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. You work your ass off for decades. You distribute all the money to your handlers. They live the life they've dreamed of on your money, and you're not allowed to do anything.
Yep.
God damn. It is a I am hoping that people really rise up about this, and I have a feeling it's going to be all anyone can talk about for a while. And I am just crossing my fingers that we hear some really good news about her.
When is there supposed to be uh like a verdict or more news about it? Do you know?
I haven't seen anything yet. We'll look up update right now. As all I'm seeing right now is just the information about what happened yesterday. I don't know what the court will do from now going forward.
Right.
There has to be, I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of evaluation. They're probably going to require a medical evaluation or something. I'm not sure. But I'm sure that we will hear all about it as soon as it happens. We will keep you guys updated, definitely. Keep you in the know on whatever we know. Free Britney. Don't enslave human beings. Duh. Don't be an asshole. You got anything else to say, Justine?
Um, well, I've been seeing on TikTok people are like, a few of her songs have like darker meanings now, like overprotected and I'm a slave for you. Even though those songs were before, it's still kind of like a darker meaning to them. And
Yeah.
there was a TikTok that I saw, and God, I don't know who it was because I don't think I saved it. I just went by it, but it was so funny. And they had a Britney Spears party, so every person had to dress up as a different version of Britney. And one girl was like the circus, like the ringleader. One girl was
That
the
is
I'm a
so
slave for you with the
fun.
snake. One was the oops, I did it again with the red suit. And then one girl was even the shaved head Britney, and she had the hoodie on and the
Oh my
umbrella.
gosh. That is so fun. I would love that. I like seeing those TikToks, and I also like the ones where it's like dress up like your significant other. And so the
Hmm.
guys come in like dresses and the girls come with mustaches and stuff. I love that too. I love TikTok. I will waste my whole life on TikTok.
I know, same. There, it was so funny because like the other day, I was just like smoking a little bit of weed and just, you pick it up to look at it for 2 seconds and then like an hour
Right.
goes by. And then it was
Yeah.
so funny because one TikTok that came up was like, do you ever just get high and spend your whole day on TikTok? And I'm like, that's literally what I'm doing right now.
I always, yeah, like you said, I pick it up and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to watch for like 5 minutes while whatever is happening. And then before I know it, the guy's like, stop, you've been scrolling for way too long. And I'm like, fuck you. And I keep scrolling. I'm like, I'll scroll as long as I want to. What do you think this is? Yeah,
It's
I'll
so
waste my whole life.
addicting. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible. And
Yeah, so we're going to
it's
put some
bad
of
for
these
like
clips
the
on TikTok.
attention. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
excited.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. I love having you on. It's fun recording, and it gave us a reason to put some makeup on and brush our hair. So we appreciate that. Yeah, we hope that you guys enjoy it because usually I got like nothing on here. I even put a bra on. Like, feel special, people. Enjoy the show. But tell everybody where they can find you, Justine.
You can listen to my podcast everywhere that you find podcasts. It's called Did I Make That Up? A Shore podcast. And right now I'm starting to cover Floribama Shore from the beginning. And
Yay!
Julie's been on there a bunch, and she's going to come on again for this season, I hope. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I love Floribama Shore. It'll be fun to go back and watch the beginning of it. So I'm excited for that. Yes. And you guys can find me. My podcast is called Resting Bitch Face. You can find me on Instagram at Resting Bitch Pod and TikTok as well. And thank you for listening and watching. And we will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.